unimpressive people.
I believe
I
that.
was like,
You make how much?
this home make $250,000. I'm like, what? You know, and I mean, like, God dang, this guy, I'm like, you know, this guy's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, he's rude, he's
Right.
arrogant. And you know, there wasn't one person where I was just like, my God, I would want that person to be my realtor. I
Sure.
was like, damn, that must be what all realtors are like. But I thought, you know what, if I could bring my honesty, like for instance, you know, when we were selling used cars, people, well, you know, I think this car might have been wrecked. I said, no, it was wrecked. Let me show you right here. Let's
Right.
pop the hood. Let me show you the inside. That's why the book on it is $79.9, but we're selling it for $75 because it's been hit, but it's been repainted. But that's why, did you just tell me it was? Well, yeah.
That's right.
Why would I not tell you that? So that honesty, I thought if that honesty and that integrity and that excellence, I knew more about any of those damn cars than anybody on that show. I took the time to commit to a spirit of excellence. I did not want to compete. I wanted to dominate. And I don't mean that in an ugly way.
Not
like
at
some
all.
people
Not at
think
all.
of control, but I'm saying if I got the good Lord living in me, I better be excellent on all accounts.
That's right.
Not only in my craft, but more so in the treatment of and care for other people around me. So it was never me competing against other people. It was me competing against me. Like, how much higher can I take this? What greater level? And in the car business, I mean, the greatest thing was maybe you own a dealership, but I'm like, I don't want to be stuck in a dealership.
That's right. Bell to bell. Oh, goodness.
So I wrote in that book, which I still have today, I would get into real estate. Just like that. Week later, guy pulls up on the lot and it's raining outside. And so none of the people want to go out there. I'm like, water, dude. And so I go out with an umbrella. I go, hey, how you doing? The guy goes, hey, man, I ain't going to be buying anything today. I ain't buying anything. I said, well, I ain't selling anything. So we're a good match, dude.
I love it.
Come on, let me get you a coffee. So I did my thing. I asked a lot of questions. I said, let me show you what just came out, this Infiniti i30. And I pull this car on the showroom floor. I pop open all the doors in the hood. I do this ridiculous presentation. I'm like, bro, you got to let me take you for a ride. Now, this guy was there because his flight was delayed 4 hours and it was across the street from the airport. Took him for a drive. We got back. He goes, oh my God. I go, what's your favorite color, bro? And he's like, green. I'm like, hold up. I go in the back. I come back out. And the rest is history. I just say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to take your car. We're going to get the trade in. I'm going to take you to the airport. I'm going to drop you off. When you come back to town, you call me. I'm going to come up in your new car. You drop me back off over here. It's going to rock. And the guy was blown away. And he goes, man, you would be so good in my industry. I said, well, what industry are you in? And he said, real estate.
Boom.
And I said, bro, I need to bring you this book. The guy's name was Steve Hamilton. He was the sales manager for Centex Homes.
Okay.
And I was the first person that they had brought in from outside of the industry to come into that industry and hit the ground running. In fact, at the, I think they call it the Summit Awards, my first year, I won first place for selling homes for a builder for more than 100 homes sold. Like, it was crazy from the get-go. Now, hear my heart on this. I'm good at what I do, but I also understand that, you know, that God's favor and grace is on me for a reason.
Yeah.
And that is to model an example that greater rewards are reserved for those who are willing to go that extra mile.
Yeah.
So that
and
was
sacrifice to get there. Yes.
100%. Sacrifice certain things. I ain't going to sacrifice my family. Going to sacrifice my wife, my kids. I ain't going to sacrifice my health. So there's some sacrifices that go on in terms of disciplining myself to study longer, study harder, be dialed in, you know, at such a level. One thing I hear regularly, Mark, is people will say, hey, man, I know you're real busy. Got you hasty. I know. And I said, dude, I'm not busy.
Yeah, I don't like
I'm not busy at all. You know what I am? I'm ridiculously intentional and insanely purposeful about every minute God's given me. And I just am really crystal clear in my goals and my priorities and my strategies to get there. So what you think is busy, it's just me being purposeful. So I ain't busy at all, you know, and it's just a different mindset. So yeah, there's some things that I was willing to sacrifice, which was hours that I could have been behind the TV or doing other things that I just leaned into the craft.
Well, that strikes something that we've talked about in a couple of different discussions before, but I want to get your take on it. And that is the concept of balance. I personally have a professional coach as well. I've had it for many years. And we've kicked around the idea of balance because that's what people that, in my opinion, that haven't reached the level of top production are always preaching about. I've got to have balance. I've got to have balance. And when we discuss that concept of balance, in your mind, is it something that is achievable instantaneously based on priorities, or is it something that the priorities in itself create the balance? So what I guess, let me lay it out a little bit different. Should every single day be balanced? Wife, X amount of time, kids, X amount of time, work, X amount of time, leisure, X amount of time? Or is it prioritization to where this week, honey, kids, you're going to have to sit on the back burner because I've got something that I've got to attend to and I'm giving my everything to it. But next week, because I did this, I can spend all my time with you.
Okay, so you hit a subject where we're about to, and my man, just get ready for. Okay, we're about to go. We about to go. I mean, we about to go down the rabbit hole.
Let's go.
I don't think you've ever been, because I have a revelation on this and an understanding that I've never heard another person speak about. So I think you're going to be very excited to hear this. Balance is a bunch of crap.
I agree 100%.
So let me just start with that.
Yep.
Balance is a bunch of crap. I am a word nerd. I love etymology and I love neuroscience and neurobiology and how the brain and body work together to create this experience which we call our life.
Correct.
Right? And so here's something very fascinating about it. So when I say balance to the average person, just like if I was to say little puppy dog, I could say little puppy dog to a room of 1,000 people. Every single person will have a different image because we don't interpret in our mind words as letters strung together.
No.
It wasn't LITTLEPUPPYDOG.
Correct.
We have images that come into our mind, and those images create stories that we tap back into that create feelings. Okay. And a person's experience in life is based on what they're really feeling. You know, what they're feeling is how they're experiencing life. So when we say balance, the first flaw in even using that word is that most people have this image of scales of justice and define it the way you just did as equal portions of time.
Right.
Okay. So I throw all of that out and say, here's what I say. You don't want balance. Nobody wants balance.
Right.
What people really crave is peace and joy while they out of balance. And that is achievable with great communication, great relationships, and being dialed into what you do. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So I say, you don't want balance. What you want is peace and joy while you're in balance. But see, if your wife and kids are upset and they're feeling locked out and you're guilty, that's not peace and joy. If at work you're overwhelmed and stuff's crazy and you're working with crazy people, you don't have peace and joy. But if I understand these two elements that are critical, the science of achievement and the art of fulfillment,
very good,
and I marry these two together, I'm crystal clear. Here's what I do at work. Here is my 20% stuff. Here's my most important activities. The most important of these activities is this, and that's time blocked for 3 hours. And until that damn thing is done, everything else is a distraction. So I have a responsibility to crush that, which is going to produce the results. Okay. And then when it comes to home, I have to be crystal clear on what my goal is at home. So for me, I'm going to speak for myself. My goal is to have my wife, when I come home every night, be like, ay, papi. I mean, I want her hot and passionate for me all the time. I don't want to just, get along and do the damn dishes and be
go through the motions. Correct.
Her to be like, it's usually the other way around though. You know what I'm saying? I'm usually like, hey, mama. But my point is that I know my heart for my wife and my kids is that they absolutely know I love them and that they're the highest priority in my life. I have a sign on my door at home. In fact, I'm going to bring you a sticker. It says, time to give my family the best of me, not the rest of me.
I love that.
So when I'm coming in from the garage, I look at that and I'm like, okay, brother, game on. You ain't getting sloppy seconds up in this place. We're going to go. This is who I really am called to be.
Yeah.
My work funds my life.
Yes.
My work is not my life. That's my business. This is my life. Let's bring it strong here. So how do you do that? Okay, well, the big game changer for me, so you achieve peace and joy while being ridiculously imbalanced,
love it. Yep.
Okay, is I read the book called The 5 Love Languages.
Okay.
Had you heard of that?
I have,
okay?
Absolutely.
So this idea is...
and the, what is it, 7 dysfunctions of a team. At the same time, the focus funnel was introduced into my life. And I don't know if you've heard about that. Rory something or other wrote the book. about the focus funnel. But go ahead, and I'll see where that fits in with it.
Here's the concept behind it. And Angela and I learned this like in our 5th year of marriage at a marriage conference. So I would come home and I'd see her beat up little car. It would be dirty. It would have trash inside. It would be empty. I'd be like, oh man, you know, I'm going to take this across the street. I'm going to fill it full of gas. I'm going to make it all nice. I'm going to put a little air freshener in here. Woo, you know, and then I would come home. Hey, baby, how? She's like, oh my God, give me a hug. And I'm just like, yo, what are we going to eat tonight? She's like, oh, we'll figure something out. And I'm like, girl, I've been gone all day. Like, you know, and so she was always trying to hug on me and touch me.
Sure.
And I was always doing stuff for her.
Yeah.
And so what we learned in this seminar is that the challenge is we receive or feel loved when one of 5 particular things is happening, either acts of service,
Okay.
doing something for you, words of affirmation, you're so special.
Confirming that. Yep.
Right. Words of affirmation, quality time, receiving gifts, and physical touch. Okay. And each of us, here's the problem, gives it to the people we love the way we like it. And we may be shooting blanks if that's not their love language.
Right.
So what they told me and Angela said, okay, Angela, Steve just wants some food when he comes home. He don't need no hug, no kiss. He needs some food. And Steve, Angela doesn't give a damn about her car. She wants you to come up and hug her. I'm like, so hold up. When I walk past her car and they say, don't just go upstairs and hug your wife. And Angela, have food prepared for your husband when he comes home.
Right.
Don't be trying to chase him down. And we're like, that sounds like a bunch of, you know, I don't know. So the first week I'm like walking past the car cringing.
Yes.
Right. And I go upstairs and I'm like, hi, I love you. And I'm like, what's that smell? And she's like, it's Fidel. I'm like, mama. And so now 7 kids later, right? No, but what I'm saying is
no TV in the Collins household.
What we say about that is that it's not natural. It's not easy. It's a commitment and a discipline. In my opinion, it's a true form of love because you're doing something by faith for them that hits their bullseye, but not yours. But after a little bit of time, the effect is such that you start looking forward to it now.
Right.
Now, here's the funny thing. 30 years later, they switched. I come home and she's like, hey, what you going to do for me? And I'm like, can I have a hug? You know, I mean, it's now my
your cup has been filled.
And hers is acts of service. So I learned that for each of my kids because I'd come home and like wrestle with each of my kids. And like 4 of them were like, bro, back off.
Yeah.
You know, so I learned for each of my kids, what's the love language? So that's how it translates. When I come home, I have stuff I've done for Angela. I go to Tori and we talk about her day because it's quality time. When she was home with Steven, it was physical touch. We would wrestle. When it was Ella, hers was words of affirmation. I would talk to her about. When it was AJ, it was physical touch. We would wrestle. When it was Josh, it was receiving gifts. Hey, buddy, look what I brought you from home. So my time, not balanced. My time with each kid, maybe 3 minutes. But I hit the freaking bullseye in their heart that was like, Dad is freaking awesome. Dad loves me.
And I think the 100%. And I think the one thing that was not spoken, but was totally articulated here that gets all of these things to tick in the right buckets is the communication piece. You guys needed to be clear in your communication, set the right expectations of what you actually want out of this before, instead of having you, Steve Collins,